warm welcome to all the panelists who have made their time to take up for this event. So now there was a quick announcement on how this webinar would be conducted. So the panelists, as you would be seeing on the screen, they are the personalities who would be talking during this webinar, and you can hear them. And I see a number of attendees who have come from many parts of primarily from India and Oman, and also I'm also seeing some from Canada and US who are here today. Thank you so much for attending this from across timelines. So without taking much time, I'm handing over the floor to Mr. Hemant, who will now be he's also a part of the panelist and also the MC for the show. Mr. Hemant, yes, please. You could go ahead and introduce the audience, the panelists, and take on.
All right. So first of all, Vanakkam, Tamil Nadu, and esteemed distinguished panelists and all the participants from all over the world. Thank you so much for coming on board. This is a webinar which has been quite a long-standing wish of mine personally to support and promote Tamil Nadu and its potential to the international community. And I'm beyond words when it comes to expressing my gratitude to Dr. Gopal, Ms. Anu ma'am, and Mr. Rakesh Adlakar from the Indian Embassy for having taken the time today to spare time with us to look at the joint model which is there. So the topic of today's webinar is connecting to Oman's procurement action. Even though we would like to talk about Oman's procurement action from Business Gateways perspective, we would like to also explain to you all that this is something which we can also discuss beyond Oman as an export model, as a potential platform that we are going to operate. So without much ado, I'd like to introduce the esteemed panelists who are here today. So we have first we have Dr. K. Gopal, IAS. He is the Principal Secretary to the Government of Tamil Nadu. Dr. K. Gopal is a 92 batch IAS officer of Tamil Nadu cadre and is currently the Principal Secretary to Government, Animal Husbandry, Dairying Fisheries Department, and he's also holding full additional charge of the MSME Department. He has been empaneled to Additional Secretary rank level at the Government of India. So, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. It looks like he has so much of responsibilities, and I'm so grateful, Dr. Gopal, to you for coming on board. He also holds a graduation in medicine from Osmania Medical College, Hyderabad, and he has worked across the state and center of Indian governance. He has worked in UNICEF, India, country office at New Delhi on UN deputation. Dr. Gopal has served as a chairman in Tobacco Board and Development Commissioner of Handicrafts at Government India. So his varied experience and expertise is something we all long and wish to hear. And thank you, sir, for once again heartfelt thanks to you for having come on board, and I welcome you. Next on the panelists we have Ms. Anu George, IAS again, a very dynamic person, I know, and the Industries Commissioner. She's the Industries Commissioner and Director of Industries and Commerce for M-TIPB, Government of Tamil Nadu. And Ms. Anu George is a 2003 batch IAS officer, currently holding the position of Industries Commissioner and Director of Industries and Commerce, Government of Tamil Nadu, while also holding the additional post of Managing Director of the MSME Trade and Investment Promotion Bureau, MSME Department, Government of Tamil Nadu. Her professional experience since 24 has been until now includes serving the various roles of Collector, Director, Commissioner across various government departments. Among her many qualifications, she recently earned the Master of Public Policy from Blackstanwick School of Government, University of Oxford. So, ma'am, thank you so much. I have had the privilege to interact with you very recently, and really encouraged to see your enthusiasm and support to supporting Tamil Nadu companies to go international in whatever way that is possible. And we are here, ma'am, to support you in every way on your quest. Then we have Mr. Rakesh Adlakar, who is the Deputy Chief of Mission and Head of Chancery, Embassy of India, Muscat, Oman. Mr. Rakesh Adlakar is the Deputy Chief and joined the Embassy of India in Feb 2017 He is an officer of the IFS, the Indian Foreign Service, and has vast experience in working in the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. Prior to serving the Indian mission in the Sultanate of Oman, he has served in Indian missions in France, US, Sri Lanka, and Malaysia. Shadlaka is a graduate from the Delhi University. Personally, I am very much grateful to Mr. Rakesh Shadlaka for being a friend and a mentor as well. And I need to say a few words because I know Mr. Rakesh Shadlaka is spearheading the Vande Bharat mission now in terms of supporting all the Indian community to go home, to reach home to various parts of India. And I know Mr. Rakesh Shadlaka is second to none when it comes to delivering on his commitment to the whole community of Oman. And his also His Excellency the Ambassador of India, who is very much supportive to the Indian community. And he's also a very avid artist, art lover. His passion is art, I know that. And he is also very passionate about supporting investments into India in whatever way possible. So we always, put our heads together to understand how we can support Indian companies into Oman and also to support Omani companies to invest into India. So his thoughts on this, sir, would be very much, welcome on that particular matter. So I don't have much to speak about me. I'm just the CEO of Business Gateways. And so at this particular point in time, I would like Dr. Gopal to commence this particular address with regard to the importance of MSMEs in Tamil Nadu. So I hand over the podium to you, sir. Please go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good afternoon to all of you and His Excellency DCM Mr. Rakesh Adhaka, Mr. Hemant, Mr. Israr Ahmad, my colleague Mrs. Anujat. I'm happy to see that the Deputy Chief of Mission and Head of Chancellery and Embassy of India, Oman, has shown great interest in supporting focused events like this, and of course the team Business Gateways for offering their very credible service to the Tamil Nadu MSMEs to avail the growing business opportunities in Oman and other countries in the GCC region as well. I came to understand that there are roughly 30 plus large procurement entities in the oil and gas and other industrial segments looking for competent buyers within and outside the Oman. After due diligence by Business Gateways, the Indian suppliers will get registered through Joint Supplier Registration System to get listed under JSRS Certified Network Supplier. At the outset, I welcome the initiative aimed at creating a business opportunities to promote exports from state MSME sector. Though we are now experiencing a setback owing to the pandemic, COVID-19, government has taken timely action by providing relief package and certain concessions for the resilient MSME sector. Despite certain challenges the industry is confronting today in India and other countries as well, the state of Tamil Nadu is on a solid footing, mainly on account of its developed ecosystem with supporting infrastructure, logistics network, skilled human capital, and above all, the cost-effective manufacturing capability of lots and lots of MSMEs spread across sectors in the state. With the government's commitment to develop Tamil Nadu as the global innovation and manufacturing hub, new policies and institutional mechanisms are introduced to scale up the performance of the industries in the domestic and the overseas market. The inflow of FDI and grounding of new investments into Tamil Nadu will further enlarge the manufacturing base and strengthen the global value chain. In the emerging global market scenario, several MNCs look at TN as a sourcing hub for various products, semi-finished to the final products. Just to give a brief account of Tamil Nadu, what Tamil Nadu is all about, the state is an industrially developed one, stands the second largest state economy in India, contributing 8.4% to India's GDP. High quality skilled human resources and infrastructure have made Tamil Nadu a very attractive investment destination. The state has prominence in the sectors such as textiles, ready-made garments, engineering products, automobile components, leather and leather products, IT and ITES, handicrafts and tourism, etc. As of March 2020, Tamil Nadu has 22.69 lakh registered MSMEs and an equal number in the unorganized sector, supporting not less than 1/4 of the population of the state. With low capital absorption, providing largest employment and contributing to exports, the MSME sector assumes significance for the socio-economic development of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has recorded exports of $30.5 billion exports, third largest exporting state in India after Maharashtra and Gujarat, constituting 9.25% of overall India's export, and a significant export diversification with 10 top export categories contributing to nearly 70% of the overall export value. The key strengths are: we have 56 notified SEZs, ranked first in the number of operational SEZs in the country. We have 38, very active. 7 passenger airports, including 4 international airports, and 26 seaports of them. 3 are major ones. These are all contributing for the overall growth of the entire industry here in Tamil Nadu. State has moved a significant step forward in creating a favorable climate for ease of doing business. The new platform, single window portal for MSMEs, launched a year ago, has become a boon to promote entrepreneurship and industries to domestic and global investors. Over the years, the clusters of MSMEs have grown across the state in various sectors, contributing significantly to the state GDP and national exports and employment to millions of local people. Globally, MSME sector will remain as the prime mover of the socio-economic development of the countries. Well, on the bilateral cooperation between Oman and India, as you know, as you may be aware, India and Oman have very old, cordial and friendly relations. Oman is one of the important trading partners of India in the West Asia region and is home to large Indian expatriate, the diaspora community. India is among Oman's top trading partners, and both countries accorded high priority in strengthening commercial and economic ties. Over the years, India's trade with Oman has been consistent, yet the balance of trade is in favor of Oman as per our information. Based on high-level engagements, some of the key areas identified for cooperation between the two countries include the agriculture, healthcare, infrastructure, tourism, chemicals and fertilizers, education, oil and gas, power, mining, and there are several more. As per the state's performance on exports to Oman, an average of $123 million has been maintained for the past 6 years, constituting roughly 6% of national exports. This indicates that there is a scope for enhancing the share of exports from Tamil Nadu. So therefore, we are eagerly looking forward for collaborations. India is among Oman's top trading partners. For Oman, India was the third largest after UAE and China, third largest source for its imports and third largest market for its non-oil exports in 2018. During 1920, bilateral trade was $5.93 billion. So major items of Indian exports are the mineral fuels, products of their destination, textiles, machinery, electrical items, chemicals, iron and steel, tea, coffee, etc., and rice, meat products too. Among major Indian imports are urea, LNG, polypropylene, lubricating oil, dates, and chromite ore. Similarly, bilateral investment flows have also been robust, as reflected in numerous joint ventures established both in India and Oman. There are over 4,100 Indian enterprises and establishment in Oman with an estimated investment of 7.5 billion US dollars. Indian investment in Oman include sectors like iron, steel, cement, fertilizer. This is what I mean as per the information we are getting from various stakeholders. So it's quite, I think it's exciting the scenario for all of us to see and work together. The redefinition and the reclassification of MSME sector with the rise in the cap of turnover up to rupees 250 crore, excluding export turnover, will provide more opportunity for MSMEs to focus on emerging export market. The Tamil Nadu M-TIPB will focus more on facilitating, connecting overseas market for the MSME sector with your help. I'm happy to note that the Indian constitute almost 20% of the Oman's total population, and government provides ample scope for professional and business progression. We will be interested to connect with the Indian diaspora there for fulfilling their desire to invest in Tamil Nadu and promote entrepreneurship. Our engagement should also focus on innovation, research and development, technology adoption for mutual advantage. Before I conclude, I wish to reiterate that the engagements like this will promote bilateral relationship with the Sultanate of Oman and the Tamil Nadu MSMEs should utilize these emerging markets to scale up their presence in the global space. So good to see all of you, and really looking forward for very concrete, very positive collaborations. And I'm also happen to be a principal secretary for animal husbandry, dairy development, and fisheries, where there is an enormous potential to collaborate. So as a MSME secretary, I think we are trying to bring more and more partners into the system. So including making some of the self-help groups into a micro level entrepreneurs. So we are pushing good number of skill related activities and want to establish good number of industrial estates, and want to create a good number of the tool rooms and the design centers and design hubs, and we are also talking about 4.0 the industry concept, so for which we have already initiated several measures. So definitely I think MSME is not a simple MSME here, so it's the bigger than MSMEs, I think the appearance as well as the products wise. So therefore Tamil Nadu is here and offering all these whatever the support you need from us. Please link us with the right investor and the right buyer and the right promoter. So really looking forward to see all of you, and I sincerely thank DCM and his colleagues, and of course Mr. Hemant as well as his colleagues for all their positive initiation, and of course I have to thank my colleague Anuj, without whose presence, so I'll not be able to push certain the activities. So let's work together. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Gopal, for that wonderful speech, and it's really of interest for us to know your enthusiasm to support all the Tamil Nadu MSMEs to come in and also to look at investments. You specifically mentioned also about the animal husbandry part of it, which is really, really something I believe that, not just Oman, but I think worldwide, I think Tamil Nadu is super strong in that to take those services onto the next levels that are there. There are some very niche areas when it comes to Tamil Nadu, and as you rightly said, MSME is not to be misled as a word in India, because MSME in India means we are talking 250 crores turnover companies, and these are technically very very capable in companies when it comes to that particular matter. So you have our full support, sir, and we will, take it forward from there. Just a quick thing, because one more panelist has joined us, so I just wanted to quickly introduce Mr. Israr Ahmed before I hand over the stage to you, ma'am. Mr. Israr Ahmed, welcome. Just wanted to introduce you to the whole participants as well. Mr. Israr Ahmed is the regional chairman of FIO, the Federation of Indian Export Organization, Southern Region. He is also the he has more than 23 years of experience in export businesses, and is one of the promoters of the internationally renowned Farida Group. Aside from holding various portfolios, Mr. Ahmed is also the chairman, Southern Region of the Council of Leather Exports, and Director of Skill Development Council for the leather sector. So thank you, sir. I've had the privilege and the honor to meet you, and I'm very grateful to you and the whole of FIO Southern Region for having a partnership with Business Gateways. And I really welcome you on this particular thing, and I would love to continue enduring this particular relationship that we have with FIO as well. Ma'am, in order to Anuj to give an introduction to M-TIPB, and ma'am, the stage is yours.
Principal Secretary MSME, Deputy Chief of Mission and Head of Chancery, Embassy of India, Oman, Mr. Israr Ahmed, Regional Chairman FIO, Mr. Hemant Murkot, Business Gateways, entrepreneurs and other participants, a warm good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me thank the Principal Secretary for his informative speech on the importance of MSMEs in Tamil Nadu and the opportunities which emerging markets like Oman afford to these MSMEs. I also thank the team Business Gateways for arranging this program and inviting the Deputy Chief of Mission and Head of Chancery, Embassy of India, Oman, to join this program. I hope this webinar will be one of the first and will also enable the enterprises in the state to learn more about the opportunities to invest in Oman. Let me also take this opportunity to introduce the infant in the room, which is the MSME Trade and Investment Promotion Bureau, M-TIP, which was recently formed by the government of Tamil Nadu. As you're aware, this was established to exclusively address the requirements of the MSME sector in Tamil Nadu. This agency will be a repository of all MSME related information and an interface to connect MSMEs with new markets. This is what we are doing today, and new technology, funding requirements and the like. We hope to address the information gaps which are a constraint for the MSMEs in the state to scale up. This agency will work in tandem with other institutions in the banking, trade promotion and research and innovation and exports within and outside the country. Broadly, M-TIP aims to focus on 4 areas, namely investment promotion, trade promotion, research and publication, and act as a single point contact. Some of these specific interventions which we intend to focus in the due course of time includes organizing seminars and training programs on export marketing, buyer-seller meets, BDPs, etc., involving specialized agencies, promoting national and global investments in the MSME sector in the state, to facilitate participation of MSMEs in national and international exhibitions held within and outside the country to improve their exposure as well as competitiveness, to forge partnership with various trade bodies, industry associations and research institutions for promoting trade and technology transfer. We also hope to recognize export-oriented MSMEs by way of excellence awards. We propose to undertake research on policy initiatives which are primarily focused on improving the competitiveness and productivity of MSMEs. And we also intend to be the facilitating agency for the single window clearance system for the new and existing entrepreneurs for expansion. So far, M-TIP has facilitated MSME participation in 13 events held both within and across the country, outside the country. This is like, M-TIP is barely about 8 months old. So most of the events were being focused on connectivity and business promotion events. As Principal Secretary had rightly mentioned, Tamil Nadu has a strong institutional framework for promoting the MSME ecosystem. The Commissionerate of Industries and Commerce with the district industry centers implement several subsidy and incentive schemes of both the central and the state governments. The state has moved a significant step ahead with the single window portal, which Secretary had mentioned about, where we give about 39 clearances of 15 departments which can be obtained online. So as to improve the competitiveness and productivity of the state, we support quality certification of products and processes. This is something, it's called QCert. This is something which exporters within the state can really make use of, because this improves their competitiveness and edge. Similarly, there is a scheme for improving energy conservation measures, which adds to the competitiveness of the unit, of the enterprise. I take this opportunity to brief the participants that the department also caters to the testing needs of various enterprises through regional laboratories. Besides this, we have an NABL accredited central electrical testing lab and also a chemical lab. Besides these, the strong institutional MSME framework in Tamil Nadu also includes CIDCO, which most of you are familiar with, and the Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation Institute. They all play an important role in nurturing estates and entrepreneurship and startups respectively. Today, Tamil Nadu has the largest number of non-farm units and is the sector champion in many sectors, including leather, textiles, automotives, etc. This is primarily due to the vibrant MSME sector, which is ably supported by proactive government policies and this sector does manufacture a wide range of products. We realize that concerted efforts are needed to maintain this trend, to improve competitiveness, and to establish its presence in global value chains. Some gray areas which we strive to address include information gaps, market access, research and innovation gaps, and gaps in technology and alternative funding for long-term sustenance.
Okay, in that case, let's just move on. We will probably bring back ma'am once the connectivity is in place. So now I'd like to introduce and request Mr. Rakesh Adlakar, the Deputy Chief of Mission and Head of Chancery Embassy of India, Muscat, to speak on India-Oman economic relations. The stage is yours, sir.
Dr. K. Gopal, Principal Secretary, MSME Department, Government of Tamil Nadu. Ms. Anu George, Mr. Israr Ahmed, Mr. Hemant Murkot, the Business Gateway team, distinguished business representatives from India and Oman. Good afternoon to all of you. Let me begin by thanking the Business Gateways for arranging this webinar today. This is an excellent initiative to bring together industry representatives to highlight the opportunities for developing trade and investment partnerships between India and Oman. Many of you would perhaps be familiar with the breadth and depth of our close friendly relations with Oman, but it is my my honor and privilege to give you a broad outlook of the relationship. Our historically close friendship was upgraded to strategic partnership in 2008. I can say with confidence that the leaderships in both countries attach very high importance to this partnership and are committed to further deepening and expanding it. Before I come specifically to India-Oman economic relations, let me say a few words about the overall relationship. India and Oman are linked by geography, history, and culture, and enjoy warm and cordial relations, which are attributed to historical maritime trade linkages and the seminal role played by Indian expatriate community in building Oman. There have been regular high-level engagements between the two countries in the past few months. External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, visited Oman in December 2019, and Minister of Defense of Oman visited India in February this year. visit of Prime Minister Modi to Oman in February 2018 had afforded us an opportunity to review the entire gamut of our bilateral relationship. During that visit, a number of decisions were taken to elevate our cooperation in sectors such as health, education, food security, defense, space, information technology, etc., etc. Defense cooperation is also an important pillar of our strategic partnership with Oman. In fact, Oman is the first Gulf country with which all three wings of India's defense forces hold joint exercises. There has been regular exchange of visits by defense ministers of both sides. Now, coming specifically to economic relations, I must say that economic partnership is perhaps the most important element of our overall India-Oman strategic partnership. India and Oman have been trading partners for centuries. Over the years, while dynamics and commodities of trade have changed, but India and Oman still remain very close trading partners. Indian companies have invested heavily in Oman in various sectors like iron and steel, cement, fertilizers, textiles, cables, chemicals, automotive, etc., etc. Today, there are more than 4,000 India-Oman joint ventures, as Dr. Gopal mentioned, that are currently operational with a combined value of over US dollars 7.5 billion. Oman India Joint Investment Fund, which is a 50-50 joint venture between State Bank of India and State General Reserve Fund of Oman, has been performing well. Ventures like Oman India Fertilizer Company and Bharat Oman Refineries Limited are shining symbols of this partnership. Even in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, when global supply chains have been severely disrupted, India has remained a reliable supplier of food and essential items for Oman. I believe that India can be a strong partner of Oman in all priority sectors of Oman, such as manufacturing, logistics, mining, agriculture, etc. These sectors have been identified by Government of Oman as well as are part of Oman's efforts towards realization of Vision 2040. Oman's strategic location as a gateway to the Middle East as well as Africa is known to Indian companies. Oman government has also laid considerable emphasis on bringing legislative reforms to boost business environment. On top of it, Oman's special economic zones offer a number of incentives which make setting up new ventures economically viable. Indian companies are already one of the largest investors in various free zones of Oman like Sohar, Salala, and even in Dukum, the first project that has become operational is an Indian investment. I therefore have pleasure in inviting Indian companies, especially from Tamil Nadu, to come and explore opportunities in Oman. And as you know, on the other hand, India is already a preferred destination for Omanis for holistic healthcare, owing to factors like quality treatment at affordable costs, linguistic and cultural similarities, etc. Besides medical reasons, many Omanis visit India for tourism purposes. I would also like to take this opportunity to say something about the new initiative launched in India, the Atmanirbhar Bharat. This is particularly relevant for our participants from Oman. As outlined by PM Modi, a self-reliant India will stand on 5 pillars. An economy that will bring a quantum jump rather than incremental change in our level of development, world-class infrastructure that assert the identity of a prosperous modern India, a technology-driven system to fulfill the dreams of 21st century, vibrant demography, and strengthening demand by empowering the demand-supply ecosystem. To realize this vision, a number of initiatives have been taken. A comprehensive economic package worth US $277 billion was announced by Prime Minister Modi in May 2020. We envisage huge investments worth US $1.4 trillion in the next 5 years to further develop our infrastructure. Policy reforms have been taken to facilitate private and foreign investments in coal, minerals, power, civil aviation, defense, space, and atomic energy sectors. Agriculture sector is being revitalized through even today. We produce enough to support our 1.35 billion population and export the surplus. Domestic manufacturing, particularly the MSME manufacturing, will receive a boost. A new education policy has been launched which aims at providing the nation with better students, professionals, and better human beings. I am also happy to say that we have already started seeing some positive results. For example, in the wake of COVID, we have developed capacity to manufacture PPE kits from zero in March to over 500,000 pieces a day today. Agriculture production has increased despite COVID pandemic. Before I conclude, I would like to highlight some of the sectors where we see potential, especially in the post-COVID scenario. One is, of course, the healthcare sector. Though there are a number of Indian hospitals already operating in Oman, still there is room for more Indian healthcare providers. Another area is food security, which is a priority sector for Government of Oman. There is interest in exploring the possibility of setting up storage and logistics hub through India-Oman joint ventures. Post-COVID-19, introduction of e-services will also see a renewed push in Oman, and the Government of Oman has also stressed on the importance of small and medium-sized enterprises in ensuring creation of jobs and to accomplish added value. So in conclusion, I would just say that both India and Oman enjoy a very special relationship of trust and mutual understanding and offer huge potential for further growth in the economic sector. For the embassy, promotion of economic cooperation is the highest priority. The embassy remains available for any assistance that Indian or Omani companies may need. I once again thank Business Gateways for taking this initiative and wish you all a productive meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh. Appreciate your discussion. In fact, as you rightly pointed out, the Oman-India Joint Investment Fund is a very serious thing that is happening between the countries, and it shows the kind of level of participation that is happening. And I can for sure see that, how Indian Embassy has been supporting with not just now, but conducting the India Economic Forum by inviting all the top managers to come and discuss their problems, because we know that a lot of labor intensive blue collar market is always there in the Middle East, and the embassy is always very, very considerate towards them in terms of the support. And I personally would also like to thank you for the great job that you all are doing for the Vande Bharat once again. And we are always working closely with the Indian Embassy from Business Gateways to ensure that there is a bilateral push, because we are primarily, you all are the experts, we are more from a platform provider. So that's the best we can do to help you all, be a catalyst to support you all in terms of providing you the technology connect between both these people which are there, and that's primarily the role of Business Gateway. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your. We appreciate it. Sorry, ma'am, we just got.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think his.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to, ma'am, sorry about that disconnect. So we just jumped to Mr. Rakesh. So we would love you to continue, just completing that speech that you gave, and then we can hand over to Mr. Israr as well. So please go ahead.
So what I was mentioning previously before I went off air was about the QCert program and the PEACE program we have. The QCert is basically enabling the MSME units in the state to acquire quality certifications like zero defect and any international quality certifications, which will prime them for an export-oriented market. And we also have similarly a program called PEACE, which is basically to promote energy conservation measures. These are all intended to promote the competitiveness of the MSMEs in the state. The department also runs a few laboratories to meet up the testing needs of various enterprises. We do have NABL accredited labs, which is the Central Electronic Testing Lab, which is in Kakalur. In fact, it will soon have an LED testing facility too, which is just available only in 1 or 2 other labs in the country. So we have very good testing mechanisms which are available for the enterprises to use them. And besides all this, we do have other institutional mechanisms which some of you are familiar with. For those who are outside the state, we have Tamil Nadu Small Industries Development Corporation, which deals exclusively with developing estates, industrial estates, both private as well as government assisted estates under MSME sector. They also handle the cluster development programs of the Government of India, and there are exclusive industrial estates for women and for specific sectors. Similarly, the Entrepreneurship Development Institute aims to nurture startups and entrepreneurship. So what I wanted to impress upon is that Tamil Nadu has a strong ecosystem, a strong institutional framework, which has been supporting the MSMEs in the state. So we all know that Tamil Nadu has the largest number of non-farm units in the country, and it's the sector champion in many sectors, which includes leather, textiles, automotives, etc. And this is primarily due to the vibrant MSME sector which we have, and the institutional framework and the proactive policy, government policies which we have. And we realize that to continue this trend, we need to make concerted efforts. We need to improve the competitiveness and the productivity of our MSMEs. We need to make them part of global value chains. And towards this, there are certain gaps which needs to be addressed, which includes gaps in information, market access, research and innovation, technology, and alternate funding for long-term sustenance. So M-TIP has been primarily formed to address these emerging needs of the sector, and also to ensure or to facilitate the MSMEs to go into the emerging markets to explore more opportunities and expand. So once the current COVID-19 exigency stabilizes, M-TIP will be playing a much more proactive role in global market outreach initiatives, and we will be engaging enterprises at the district level to promote districts to become export hubs. We hope to bridge some of these gaps which we were mentioning, to connect the buyers and the sellers across the country and the globe. As Mr. Rakesh and the speakers before me have highlighted, Oman presents a large number of opportunities, which in fact the opportunities which the country seeks is very much in sync with the strength of Tamil Nadu MSMEs. We also have a strong footprint, apart from leather and textiles, we have strong footprint in machinery, computer and electronics, chemicals, rubber, plastics, electrical equipments, and food processing. Tamil Nadu is a renowned destination for medicine, medical health, medical tourism, as we call it. Our the health infrastructure is excellent, especially in Chennai. With such a diverse manufacturing and services sector, we hope that the enterprises in the state will find this webinar to be very informative, to understand the emerging market, to explore more opportunities, to seek new pastures for expansion and scaling up. And we hope at M-TIP we'll play that role of facilitating your access to these markets. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. I mean, thank you for finishing that. It was very useful and important that you continue and complete it, it's important. So thank you for that again. And I'm pretty sure that the inception of M-TIP for us being a specialized agency to support trade promotion and investment is definitely the need of the hour in Tamil Nadu. And I'm sure the whole MSME lot is you'll be the champion in terms of pushing it forward. And we are there from Business Gateways perspective in any way we can support. Just to inform you, we also have our own office in Chennai, our development center. So our support is there for all the Tamil Nadu companies to kind of, come on board. I was quite, it's very interesting to know about this QCert and peace initiatives that you all have done, which I think is very good in terms of, the diligence and the capability and the capacity of MSMEs to be, export ready, so to speak, for them to kind of, support them to do it. So thank you very much for that informative session, ma'am. Appreciate it. Now I just invite Mr. Israr Ahmed to kind of say a few words related to scope for Tamil Nadu and exporting to Oman. Not a few words, sir. You can please speak at your heart's content.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hemant. I'd like to thank Madam Anu George for inviting me to be a part of this as well, and it was her initiative, so thank you, ma'am. And Dr. K. Gopal, it was nice to meet you, sir. We missed you in the last meeting that we had, but we are happy to have you join us today here. And obviously, thank you, Mr. Rakesh, also. As you may know, FIO itself is the Federation of Indian Export Organization. That's who I represent. And this is for the panelists, for the other people on the attendees. Basically, what it is that we represent all the councils, the export promotion councils, which are from anywhere from pin to, let's say, leather, paper, anything that is exported out of India is what FIO represents. And not only the councils, but also the boards like the rubber board and the tea board, and all the boards are represented. And what we do is we work with them, with the councils, with the export members. We have almost about 35,000 members that are a part of FIO. And we work with the central and the state governments to ensure that we have policy frameworks, to help in the policy frameworks and stuff. Had represented in the meeting, our president himself asked if he could move it up to 250 crores, and which he obliged. And today we are happy to say that we have more members thanks to that in the MSME sector, and also agreed to not adding the export turnover, which itself is a huge benefit to all the industries. Coming back to Tamil Nadu and the MSME, I think as we've already heard from Dr. Gopal and from Madam Anu George, Tamil Nadu is one of the most amazing states that you will see. I'm proud to be a part of it also from the leather sector. I represent also Council of Leather Export, so as a regional chairman there, and almost 99% of all the members there are MSME. And we are proud to say that we have more than 48% of our exports of India is from the MSME from Tamil Nadu, let's say. So that's how big in the leather sector. And similarly, in textile also, in apparel, we have quite a strong sector. So we've been working with this, the new team that is there in the MSME department in Tamil Nadu, which is a very dynamic team. We've been very, very happy working with them and to see how best FIO can help to work to make it easier and promote export from the state. So this has been one of our key initiatives that we are working on. We would actually like to see a rapid growth. After this COVID, we are of the opinion from FIO that there will be a boom. You are looking at in March, April, come March, April, we believe the business sentiments are such that we will see a huge boom because as people who have not spent, as people who have not gone out and spent their money or have been all locked up, will look at going out and having and spending, and the increase in economy and also all the subsidies that have been given throughout the world by all the governments, those will be there as in cash to spend. So all this will relate to a bigger and a better business in 2021. That is what we believe from FIO's side as well. As far as coming to Indo-Oman trade, this is a very, very old trade that we have. I think it goes back to the 3rd century BC. So that's how old this is, the trade between India and Oman. I believe that the trade today, the bilateral trade is at about $5 billion. India is the 3rd largest market for Oman's non-oil exports, while India is also the 3rd largest source of imports for Oman, UAE being the largest import source, and with 49% in Oman's import, followed by China with 5.5%, and India very closely behind with 5%. But also you need to realize that a lot of the materials do go to UAE and then may also end up in Oman. So the trade might actually be much bigger than we believe it is, or that the numbers show. Oman also has embarked on a very ambitious project to set up a mega SEZ in Duqm, as Mr. Rakesh had earlier also mentioned. The location of Duqm, the availability of resources and special incentives being provided collectively offer huge economic opportunities for SMEs in Tamil Nadu in diverse sectors like oil and gas, mining and fisheries and aqua farming, food processing, logistics, renewable energy, real estate development, and Tamil Nadu can play a major role in most of these sectors as well. The top imports, if you look at it, of Oman, they are also vehicles and parts and also machines, iron and steel, organic chemicals, plastic products, dairy and poultry products, agro commodities. These are all very, very active industries that are there in Tamil Nadu, as in the MSME sector, especially, as you know, for vehicle and parts. We have quite a few component manufacturers, auto component manufacturers in the state, and machinery and equipment as well. Similarly, we were happy to note that our principal secretary, Dr. Gopal, is also the principal secretary for dairy and poultry, etc. So that also is something that is well tied into our program today. And the other very, very important sector, which I think we are all focusing on, would be the agro sector. I believe that agro sector has a lot of potential, especially from Tamil Nadu, to be able to export into. We are doing a lot of exports into Dubai and into Singapore and other markets. But I think that Oman has a major sector. Coming to leather, I would say leather is actually, when I try to find what is our exports into Oman, our exports into Oman was very, very low, unfortunately. So there it's a major, again, an opportunity as well. And if you look at it, as the madam had mentioned before, the exports are averaging at about 122 million or around 150 million, I would say, dollars from India, from Tamil Nadu's exports to Oman. Whereas India's share of exports are in the, I believe, $2,439 million. So that's how big the share is from India itself. We looked at what are the top 10 exports from Tamil Nadu to Oman, and automobile spare parts was at $23 billion. Sorry, $1 million. Sorry, 23. We'd like to be billion, but anyways, for now it's $23 million. Valves and similar appliances for pipes and boilers and stuff like that was about $16 million. Poultry products, which is pretty good, which is already at about $16 million. So, and then you have electrical controls, and then textile garments, rubber products, all of these are there, even though the total is less. But we have a significant presence in all of these sectors already. Now it's up to us to see how best we can utilize the platform that Business Gateway is bringing into this as well. I'm happy to say that we did sign MOU between FIEO and Business Gateway. So that's how we are already connected, and we've already been sharing the details of the platform to our members as well. And they've also benefited from these, this thing. We actually wanted to have a trade delegation from FIO's side to take and go to Oman, and we were discussing that, but unfortunately due to COVID reasons, we were unable to move ahead with that. But these are the things that I think FIO can help a lot in coordinating, in making sure that you know, the day-to-day part of the business are taken care of, and we also guide you well in how to do exports or any problems that you may have, whether it is not only with the government, the Tamil Nadu government, or with the central government, but also you're looking at the customs and the DGFT and all other things, and also similarly outside India as well. So we look forward to having a great session today, and I think I'm thankful to Mr. Hemant for organizing this session and inviting us for this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. That was quite encouraging to hear that. I mean, the kind of statistics that you were able to bring out and you know, explain to this particular part. You're right about the post-COVID model. I think while my take is, you know, while we are having a downturn, which is global, you know, everywhere, but there can be serious opportunities also that we can spin off from this. And it's a matter of adapting. It's a matter of making sure that the MSMEs in Tamil Nadu understand what are the actual game changers, how to, you know, benefit from some of the major changes that are happening. Because Oman also, for instance, you know, we are a very depending supply chain model in country. Yeah, we don't have much of indigenization over here. So the reliance on supply chain, the global supply chain is quite phenomenal here. And most of the companies have realized that even though, you know, as historically, there is a lot of Chinese integration that is there, a lot of European integrations that are there. Come COVID, then we realized that a single chain approach is not going to help anymore. So there is always a redundancy that we need to put in place. And those redundancy strategies is where I think India can seriously benefit and, you know, come on board, so that, you know, that Plan B model of a backbone, especially from a proximity perspective, vis-a-vis that of Europe to Oman, or, you know, from Oman to India, is absolutely different. And as, you know, even Dr. Gopal and Rakesh was mentioning, the supply chain is continuing today in food and agriculture, etc., with regard to essential services from India. You know, every day there are flights going in and bringing in tons of, you know, food and supply services from India, and we are honestly grateful for that particular thing. And it is also a business opportunity for them to, you know, come on board. So thank you once again. Once again, thanks to FIO for supporting and believing in Business Gateways. We are looking forward to an MOU with also with M-TIPB along the similar lines, and I think we can all unify and then approach with a common strategy to support, at the end of the day, to support all the MSMEs in the country over there. So thanks again, Mr. Shah.
We need a lot of support to Mr. Ahmad. We need a lot of support. MSMEs require a FIO support.
Sir,
and
sir, always
right now, I know you're all quite, you know, proactive in that way. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, so nice to see you after the gap of perhaps few weeks. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We are happy. Also, I'd like to add is one more thing, is that the anti-China sentiments are strong, and I think for all of us Indian manufacturers ourselves, we should look at this as a major opportunity. Also, it's not strong. The anti-China sentiments are not only in the US, but it's across the world. And I think this gives us all a unique opportunity to start building our businesses, and those are opening. We are finding it in our businesses as well, whether it's not only from the US or from the UK, it's from everywhere that we're seeing new orders or new inquiries coming in. So this is something that we as the MSME sector as well need to look at.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, sir, I'm also very happy, Dr. Gopal, because I can come to you for fisheries, I can come to you for poultry and for animal husbandry and leather as well. So, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, you can see a beautiful, the Bay of Bengal view. Just see, behind the Industries Commissioner Anuja. So that's our Chennai Harbour.
Oh, okay, okay. You're making me miss home, Dr. Gopal.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So now, thank you all for your lovely speeches, and it's a pretty encouraging one. Let me quickly take you through the presentation. That I'm a PowerPoint guy, so I'd like to, show you things from the PowerPoint perspective, so that we can take it forward. I will probably be explaining to you more in terms of the JSRS that you're seeing on my screen here, the Joint Supplier Registration System. So now that we understand the how M-TIPB, how FIO, how the Indian Embassy are actually welcoming all of you to have a bilateral model in place. I'm just going to expose to you all a unique, interesting platform that we have in Oman called the Joint Supplier Registration System. So, and how this particular platform can support from a technology perspective, how you're to achieve your goals and objectives with regard to export, and even further into investments and into partnerships as we go on. So this is who we are from Business Gateways perspective. We are an IT-enabled company, Omani organization. We operate national platforms on behalf of the government of Oman. So we are not just an IT company. We do a lot of participation on the government of Oman's strategic platforms that we build and operate. And we are a certifying body as well on behalf of the Ministry of Oil and Gas for suppliers. So that's precisely what we do. We have been certifying thousands of suppliers on board who are ready to come into Oman and to participate in the production incentives. On an interesting note, the development center is based out in Chennai. We established our own IT development support, and this is an investment from Oman. And we have set up this company as Business Gateways International India. It is operating out of Elnet Software Park in Chennai. And we are now almost 6 years old there. And it's a 100% export oriented unit at this moment. So we have a lot of support and operations, and my thanks goes to the whole team who's sitting there, because they are the ones who drive it 24/7 in supporting us in achieving some of the strategic goals that we have. All right, so just a snapshot of Oman's oil and gas. I'm going to initially focus a little on oil and gas, because that's where the major spend is. Almost 80% of the government spend is currently on the oil and gas model that is there. So as you can see here, we are talking about an average production at about 1 million barrels per day. This is Oman's thing. Compared to GCC, it's not very big like the Saudi brothers, but it's decently there in terms of a 1 million barrel production per day, and it contributes to nearly 80% of our national revenue in Oman. So you can understand the spend that can go into this particular model. We have 22 oil and gas operators. I will touch upon that. 50% of them are in upstream with midstream and downstream forming the lot. So the upstream, in terms of exploration, there is still a lot of opportunities for exploration. There is still a lot of exploration-based technology services when it comes to Tamil Nadu SMEs to think about, to kind of come on board. The reserves, we have a decent reserves of about 5 billion barrels of condensate. Right now, considering that Oman has been into the production for quite a while, the exploration and the EOR, the enhanced oil recovery models that is related to exploration, is really requiring a lot of support. All the oil and gas operators are looking for technology related to enhanced oil recovery model. Renewable energy, as you know, that's worldwide, and it is also part of the sustainable goals of the United Nations and the World Trade Organizations per se. So there is a huge shift that is happening from the fossil models to the renewable energy also that's happening. There are a lot of petrochemical projects that are coming up. Duqm refinery, which is in Duqm, is one of the flagship refinery projects, almost $8 billion with the projects that are there. And interestingly, now they are all working on the JSRS as well. Now we are also going to see a couple of new other refineries that are going to come up on board. So I'm pretty sure that from an engineering contracting model of MSMEs who are related to oil and gas, construction, and those kind of services that are driven, support services that are driven towards oil and gas, would be Oman would be a fantastic model for you to work with. So Why did the JSRS form? What was the purpose why the Joint Supplier Registration System was formed? This is a project under the Ministry of Oil and Gas. So Business Gateways, we are operating this particular project on behalf of the Ministry of Oil and Gas and in Oman. And it's a completely outsourced system to Business Gateways. We manage the project end to end. And some of the main reasons why this had happened actually was we had a lot of individual registration processes before. So we are talking about 20 to 30 oil and gas operators, and everybody had their own independent registration systems that were there. And especially for international companies, it was they're finding it very difficult to go individually and try to connect with that. So they decided to create one unified registration platform. So in short, what it means is if you are registered on the JSRS and certified on the JSRS, you are registered and certified on all the oil and gas operators in Oman. It is simple as that. And it's all oil and gas driven approach which is there. And then we also have another, just to take it up, this registration, we wanted to make sure that suppliers or like international companies like y'all, if you want to come into Oman, you don't have to pack your bags every day, and like those days that was happening before in 2013, you don't have to fly down to Oman to understand how each of the operators' registrations are done. Everything is online, everything is transparent, and it's very efficient in the way we are, actually driving the platform. So there is a huge lot of mechanisms that are there. So I'll touch upon this as we kind of go forward. So the Joint Supplier Registration System is an Oman-grown procurement platform. This is what I would like to highlight upon. This is an Oman-grown procurement platform, and which is speaking a lot on something called as the ICV. ICV here stands for in-country value, or it's also called as the local content worldwide. India is also super strong when it comes to local content, especially with the Prime Minister wanting to support through offset programs for local development, local things which are there. So similarly, the JSRS is also primarily an ICV platform. All the oil and gas operators are on board, and it's a mandatory system today. This is very important to understand, that if you have to work within the oil and gas industry of Oman, the JSRS certification is a mandatory system. Without the JSRS certification with you, you will not be awarded any contracts or procurement opportunities that are there. So this is where we are standing at. And these are some of the oil and gas operators. If you notice here, they are the ones who are currently connected. So you will see that you have the oil and gas operators like Occidental, BP, PDO, the Petroleum Development Oman is the largest of the oil and gas operators who are operating within the country. All of them utilize the JSRS system in order to procure or to source or to contract or to engage with companies worldwide. So it's not just with Oman, even international communities, everybody kind of connects onto the system. And from the other industries perspective, you have Madayan, you have OMIFCO, the Oman India Fertilizer Company. It's called as OMIFCO, that is here. They are also using the JSRS for their supplier registration systems and all this. So once you're certified to the JSRS, you gain access to all of them, and you're going to be in compliance to the platform that is available with you. So this is the certificate that is usually awarded to you when you go thing, and it's an e-certificate. It's online that you will be given, and this is a certificate, as you notice. It is awarded by Business Gateways together with Ministry of Oil and Gas on behalf of Ministry of Oil and Gas. And this particular certificate is the passport for you in order to gain any access to the procurement systems that are there. And currently on this particular platform, we have the JSRS Certified Suppliers Network. Now, once you're certified on this particular platform, you automatically connect to the JSRS Certified Supply network of companies which are there, which comprises of a lot of companies, both from Oman and international. So we have more than 5,000 plus Omani companies who are already on board, with whom you can connect and operate. So if you notice here, the platform is not just to give you a certification, and the platform is not just to allow you to only connect with the procurement opportunities, but you can also do a lot of B2B engagements for partnerships within Omani companies and the Indian companies for bilateral models. Like you can have your principal, if you are a manufacturer, you can be a principal, and your agent can be a local Omani company, and I will explain to you what's the route that you can take on that. You also have access to the GCC-wide open tenders that are available. You have access to online reports from internationally available. So even from India, Tamil Nadu, if you're a Chennai-based company and you are being certified in Oman from the JSRS, you can use this platform to even connect with partners in New Zealand. Doesn't matter. So you have from 100+ countries the suppliers who are available, and this is a proactive platform that is empowering you to take it forward and do it. So again, I would like to emphasize, we have more than 110,000 products and services listed and certified on this particular platform. So any company who is joining the platform must connect themselves to the UNSPSC structure. We will teach you how to do that. We will support you how to do that. We will train you on the process that is followed over there. But again, I would like to emphasize that this is a mandatory system for you to kind of operate with. So this is the global spread of suppliers whom we have today on the platform. We have more than I think 9,000+ companies who are registered on the system, and from that GCC is around 12%. 65% of the companies are from Oman, the local companies which has got SMEs and the large companies who are connected to the platform. You also have the what do you call the rest of the world, which is around 23%, and GCC which is there. The Indian sector currently that we have on the platform is 48%, if you notice, of manufacturing companies from India who are already registered and certified on this platform. We have oil and gas at about 26, construction, electricity, IT, and others. So there is a whole lot of room to bring in all those trust areas that even Mr. Rakesh Adlaka was mentioning, and Dr. Gopal and George Ma'am and Israr was mentioning about it. So feel free. So this is the global supply chain model that we currently have, and these are all the detailed sector level connects that are available with us on this particular platform. So the JSRS suppliers network, what happens for the supply certification is there is a supply certification fee to be paid as per the fixed with the Ministry of Oil and Gas. It is a 1 year for international it's $1,000, and for 3 years you can take it up at $2250 which is there. And then once you pay this particular certification fee, there is a what you call timeline that is involved. It takes roughly around 3 to 4 weeks for us to provide you the certificate, subject to all the documents that you have. There is no guarantee. We can even provide you within a week, or it can even take forever. You have to make sure that all the documents that are required for your approval into the JSRS is on place. And this is the form that we use for the supply validation form. We will share it with you. We'll give you and send across this information to you. But this is the checklist that we usually use in order to certify you. Say, for example, apart from the JSRS contact information, you have the corporate information about your JSRS certification, your commercial registration license, etc. Your financial details like your financial reports. If you are a manufacturer, then you have to provide us with the manufacturer's permit. If you are a distributors or a consultant, then you have to provide us with the relevant consultancy certificates, approvals that are put in place. You can also add M-TIPB, MSME certifications to you to support your case. Even if you're a member of FIO, you can support it as a model that is there. The whole thing is online, by the way. You don't have to submit anything. It's just a checklist. You upload the documents and you pack it up. That's it. And then we'll be able to do that. This is more in country. This is for the local companies, nothing to do with the international ones. And the other things that are there, some of these fields are mandatory, some of them are nice to have. So don't get enamored when you see this list. It doesn't mean you have to give everything, even though the more the merrier. If there is more information, it is good because your buyers, your operators would like to see that kind of a content within us to play with. So what can you do once your JSR is certified? You will be able to receive a lot of visibility for your sourcing. That is, all the companies are looking at your profiles. There are detailed profiles that we give for each of these particular companies, and you can fill that particular profile and you will be seen like a mini website within the platform for all the oil and gas operators and other companies to see you, including the contractors. You can participate in tender biddings. You can directly respond to RFPs, RFQs through the tender process online for the system. You can also have an integration to your specific buyer related. You can also go further into other certification models that are there on this platform, not just with JSRS. You can receive a lot of tenders and advisories as well. So there is a lot of action that you can do here. Now, just looking at the potential demand segments, we have just grouped some of them because ma'am was specifically asking us to, in order to show something in terms of the demand. This is the broad demand that we are, looking at in terms of general in Oman. I will start from the right side just to help you understand the engineering side of it. So construction, all the mechanical, electrical instrumentation, pipelines, anything to do with piping, civil services controlled models that are there, electrical instrumentation, products that are specifically related to that, the electrical wiring, cabling, and anything that you think you have an edge over the international suppliers, anything that you feel that your platform or your capabilities or your products are much better, we would like you to highlight those USPs on the profile so that the operators understand what are your salient features and points that are available for these catalog products, and all kinds of hardware related things in terms of pipes, fittings, gaskets, fasteners, everything that are put together. Instrumentation and automation is a very critical area. We want to see people from SCADA. We would like to see from DCS based models, PLC based approaches that are having some good technology with good R&D that you have done. I'm sure India is pretty strong on that, and I'm sure Tamil Nadu is also equally equipped on that particular front, which is there. And on this side, you have the general services in terms of the fabrications, the geo services. There's a lot of geomatic services that are there. IT software is still a need in the country. There is still a lot of dearth for IT projects and opportunities that are there within the country. HSE based, anything related to HSE that you can support in terms of security cameras, those kind of stuff that we can put in place. Chemicals, anything related to chemical processing, anything related to specific chemical driven products that you can probably put in place. The professional services, including education and training institutes, there is a whole lot of opportunities for training. There is a skill level training because Oman emphasizes a lot on training Omanis. There is a lot of skills that you can develop, and if you are having any specific skill based approaches for training, research and consulting, Oman would be a great place for you to look at. And support from financial, legals, etc. Medical, it's a no-brainer today. As you know, medical is the need of the hour. The government is also supporting a lot because all these medical equipments that were coming from China, now they have understood that they need to have a plan B, and wherever there is a support of PPE, ventilators, cost-effective and reliable ventilators and stuff like that is required, even setting up hospitals and your credibility to kind of support them online through consultations, services, etc. would really be of help here. And like what Dr. Gopal was also mentioning, food and agriculture is another very important thing. Oman is trying to be self-sufficient. You will be surprised, even though it's a desert, down in Salalah, there is a place down in Salalah. It's almost like Tamil Nadu and Kerala environment over there. So you will find a whole lot of things that are applying there. These are some of the partial list of projects that are available. You have some of the project sectors. I mean, I've just grabbed some of them and put. There is a whole lot of projects that are currently available in Oman that require activity. Now, with the oil pricing shift that has happened recently, we know that there was a reduction in the oil price. The government has tightened its budgets. There is a lot of tightening on the budgets, on the spend of the OPEX by the government. They are in fact bringing down the annual spend by a phenomenal percent. But having said that, the projects are still ongoing. A lot of projects, investments that have been provided are continuing very, very effectively here. So some of them that I'm seeing here are EOR. If you notice the EOR facilities that are required here, then you have the Sohar Dukum area wherein all the Dukum related cement plants, etc. that are required over there. You also have some refineries like Salalah refinery. You also have Oman Wangfang refinery as part of the Dukum. All these things require a huge amount of supply chain and approach model, and JSRS, we are not promising you that you will be exposed to all these projects, but many of them are a part of the JSRS. And don't get me wrong when I say JSRS is the only way to enter Oman. JSRS is one particular way to enter Oman. There are other models that you can also look at. Now, I just wanted to quickly highlight a couple of points. I am slightly expanding my speech a little more for another 5 minutes, if you don't mind. The in-country value is something you should really understand when you want to enter into Oman. Oman is extremely specific and extremely strong and extremely committed to supporting local Omani companies. So if you look at the procurement spend on a broad basis, you will see almost 75 to 80% of the procurement spend happens to the locals, and it's only around 20 to 25% that is spent outside the international. So the ICV is a very important thing to do. There are specific SME-based guaranteed projects that are available. If you're an ICV-based model, you can come on board. So if you are willing to invest into Oman and you want to develop something in Oman, you will also be treated as a national company with the support of the ICV that is there. So this is one particular component that I wanted to highlight, and it pays a lot to understand how this operates in Oman when it comes to the in-country value. Okay, how do you enter Oman? Now, what kind of approach is available? I have just broadly put it into two routes. You have the direct route and you have the partnership route. For those companies in Tamil Nadu, MSMEs, who are already into export, who are export compliant, see, because you can directly reach out to the potential opportunities in Oman. You can, definitely stretch your arm and connect with the services that you do, provided you have the ability, the capacity, and the capability to connect to the operators directly or to the buyers directly and serve them from a procurement angle. So this would mean for those companies who are just exploring exports into the markets that are there. I'm sure M-TIPB is there to handhold you all towards the export compliances that are required. But what would happen is you can either take it through this route or you can take the partnership route. Partnership route, because Oman has got so many companies out here who are looking for good partners to participate. These partnerships could be for dealer representations, it could be for project partnerships, consulting partnerships, even investment partnerships. If you want to work with that in that particular model, then you can go through the JSRS certification and then connect to the Omani companies here, because all the profiles are made available to you. You can see them happily. You can speak to them happily. You want to come through us, we will also support and guide you. You can come through FIO partnerships also, so we are there to support you on that. And what is the difference between these two is, if you notice, you have the ICV based opportunities participation that you may not find here, because all the ICV based participation that is happening in terms of SME participation, etc., you can approach it if you have a local partner in Oman. So, and together you can then engage into the buyers community. So this is what I broadly want to explain to you. Have a strategy, understand the plan that is what you're working with, and this is something that you can utilize when you are wanting to enter into another country from a perspective of opportunities and the products. And already there are so many companies in Tamil Nadu who are looking at it. Omani companies are encouraged, definitely, whoever's listening, to go in for an investment into the MSME as well in Tamil Nadu, because they can support you more from a value chain perspective. So if you want to enhance your capacity in your manufacturing, if you want to enhance your capabilities, you can also have an outsourced arm, like what Business Gateways we are doing. You can have an outsourced arm there to utilize and penetrate that particular model over there. And finally, this is the overall strategic approach layers on the JSRS that we are talking about. You have, for example, I'm going ahead with this model of Sultanate of Oman, the GCC and the international. So from the Sultanate of Oman, once you're getting in, please understand, if you are looking at Oman as your first point, Oman has got something very key that most other countries do not have, and that is to do with the free trade agreement with US. Oman and US enjoy a free trade agreement all through this particular model that is there. So what would happen here is, by using this, you can engage with the free trade models that are prevalent to you in order to allow you to connect into it. From here, you can go into GCC. We also support from the GCC model for you to support and take it forward. And then finally, onto the international, you can also use the international markets to support. For everything, you would require the JSRS certification that is there. So thank you so much, and that's about it from my side. I've just made it a very, a breeze through this particular whole thing that we wanted to highlight and connect with you. If you can just throw us the questions, yeah. Sanjeev, any questions?
Now, there was the questions. Predominantly what I've been seeing is about the during the COVID time, what was the requirements, and how is the scenario changed after the COVID? How the response, for the demand has been after the COVID onset?
Okay, is it to me?
Yes, it is to JSRS. It is to us.
Okay, fine. As I was just touching base on that, see, COVID has really, even when we did a survey with all the JSRS suppliers and the operators to understand what is the impact on that particular thing, most of them were saying only one thing: they want to relook at the supply chain. They want to ensure that there is a redundancy in the supply chain in terms of what they're going to do. From the government side, what has happened is, Oman had this, the Arabic labeling for any of the consumer goods that were coming in. The government has, in fact, waived that Arabic labeling to be made a part of this particular model. So they have opened up, from the customs side also, they have given a lot of provisions to have the goods of landing, everything to be given online, and supporting those companies to kind of come forward. So the government of Oman is definitely looking at various means to kind of integrate. And we have seen from the JSRS perspective, operators are obviously looking a lot for health related services that are there. But in addition to the health, it is also spinning off other things, including sports related things. These are spin-offs that we have seen from this particular pandemic perspective. But the spend is continuing to remain as it is. And like what Israr was mentioning, we are definitely going to see in the next year everything mostly coming back to normal after this, the lockdown, etc., is being put in place.
Ma'am, the question is MSME supporting the, in any way is the MSME supporting the exports to at this point of time? Is there any new kind of a support system that the MSME department is coming out with?
In fact, what we aim to do is to see there is an information gap as far as export-oriented programs are concerned. There are multiple schemes which have been propagated by the central government, as well as there are some support systems which are there with the state as well. But what we hope M-TIPB to do is to be the repository of that information to enable the MSMEs with whatever support they have. In fact, we hope to set up help desks in a cluster of districts, like 2 or 3 districts together would have a particular help desk in the DICs. And these help desks will also help the entrepreneurs who want to export. We would hope to address specific issues which are concerned with the export-related issues. We will take up with the appropriate agencies. As far as schemes are concerned, they are the existing schemes, nothing new. But we hope that they will have a wider reach once we start these kind of outreach programs, and we try to improve upon them so that the impact is much more.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you for your support, and for the panelists, my heartfelt thanks to all of you, ma'am, Dr. Gopal, and Mrs. Israr, and Mr. Rakesh, for all your time that you have spent with us. And we look forward to working closely. This is just the beginning. It's not the end. This is just the beginning, and I can assure you from Business Gateways, and I'm sure I'm also speaking, I'm taking the liberty to speak on behalf of the Indian Embassy, that we are here to support both from a bilateral perspective in whatever little way we can for the Tamil Nadu MSMEs to come on board. And Oman is a great place to live in. Oman is a very hospitable, beautiful country, and we welcome you all in person to come over. Once this COVID situation and all reduces, we are most welcome to come here as our distinguished guests. And we welcome all the participants also to Oman to come down. Tourism-wise also, it's a great place. They are most welcome to come and explore. By the way, our Business Gateways website is businessgateways.com. You can always visit that. If you'd like any support from the Indian office in Chennai, the team is also there. All this information is available. Please feel free to call us and talk to us, and we will support you on that. You will be getting a particular report on this particular question and answers that were given. And thank you all participants for having taken the time. Even though we have exceeded a little by 10 minutes, we thank you so much for all this support that you have done. We look forward to having you there. Thank you, and thank you everyone, panelists.